Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my reaction and recap of UFC Fight Night Salkilld versus Gamrot. I'm saying it that way because of what happened in the main event, but let's just talk about this event as a whole. This was a fun card, as the Apex cards tend to be. I did amazing. I went 11-1, only getting one fight wrong. So let's get right into it, starting with the first fight of the night. Gigi Canuto versus Foro. And if you're noticing that we are not on the UFC website, that's because the UFC website has shut down. So we are on ESPN MMA. Not the whole website, but specifically the UFC part. It's just not working. So we are here. And so let's talk about the first fight of the night. Gigi Canuto versus Foro, or Foro, I'd assume, because she's Brazilian. This was a good fight. I said that Foro would win because she is a decent striker with a lot of power in her hands. And she did win. Gigi Canuto's not bad, like, that's the thing. And she actually kind of impressed me because she was decent on the feet, even though she is a jiu-jitsu grappler. And like I said, like, she's more of a jiu-jitsu girl than a wrestler. And so you can't always trust them to get their positions. But round one, Fajo came out and did as I expected, except Canuto did better on the feet than I expected. She was there. She wasn't able to get her takedowns in round one, but she was there in the pocket throwing nice boxing combos. She was even mixing in elbows at moments, and she was throwing some calf kicks. But when she would throw a couple calf kicks, they would seem like they slightly bothered Fajo. And when Fajo would throw the calf kicks, you would hear a sound like "pa," and Canuto's leg would fucking go limp for a second. So that's just the difference. They're both Brazilian, but they're different kinds of Brazilians. Like, Canuto speaks English Brazilian. Fajo does not understand a word of English, and she never will. So that's the type of Brazilians we're dealing with, and why I picked Fajo. But yeah, so round one, Canuto got rocked a little bit on the feet, but it was still like she was in it the whole time. You see, the strikes are not very different between the two of them. But Fajo did land the more powerful shots and had some nice combos. Round two, Canuto shot a takedown and got it this time. And when she got the takedown, this is when I got a little worried because Fajo, like, just didn't have any jiu-jitsu. Like, you see this a lot. Like, people have good takedown defense, but the second you do take them down, they're just, like, kind of lost on the ground. And that was a little bit worrying. But Canuto is good at jiu-jitsu. That's her thing. She's a jiu-jitsu girl. I think she started when she was, like, 3 or something like that. She's only 23 now, so, like, not that much time. But it's 20 years. It's a lot. Much more than fucking the guy who fought Gable Steveson. That was, like, 3 years of jiu-jitsu. I believe it was a blue belt, So, something over here. We're dealing with something. And yeah, round two, she got her takedown. She was basically on top the entire round, but didn't do a lot of damage. She had a choke in at moments. They gave her one official submission attempt, but ultimately she couldn't get the choke. And then round three, and this was the round that really made this a scrap and a really fun fight. Fajo again stinging her on the feet. Canuto getting a takedown early, and I thought, all right, that's it. Like, this is a wrap. I'm just gonna fucking wait until the next fight comes on, and I'm gonna get my first pick wrong. But no, Fajo got back up. She got taken down a second time. This time, Canuto got on top of her and went for the armbar. And this armbar has betrayed her in the past, as it did over here, because Fajo got out of the armbar and ended up just landing a lot of ground and pound. And Canuto put all of her energy into this armbar. And this is what she does. She did it in The Ultimate Fighter. This is how she lost her fight in The Ultimate Fighter. She went for like 3 different armbars, used all of her energy on them. And then when she didn't get them, she gassed out and got TKO'd. In this fight, she didn't get TKO'd. She ended up making it back to her feet. And Fajo just landed a lot more punches after that too, and took over that round and basically won the first and third round. And yes, but this was a great fight. A scrap. They were going back and forth. At moments, Gigi was landing these elbows as Fajo would come for the boxing combos. But Fajo looked really good, besides for the takedown defense that we might have to work on, and, getting back up when you do get taken down. On the feet, she's throwing combos like a dude, has a lot of power. Canuto has a good chin, so she didn't get knocked down, but she got rocked multiple times in this fight. And Fajo, like, yeah, just a great, entertaining. You're welcome division. You're welcome addition to the division, and people are comparing her to Jessica Andrade, and I support this comparison, and it's about time we have another one. Jessica Andrade is fucking 47 or whatever. She's not winning fights these days. We need a new one. Here she is. Let's put her against Rose Namajunas and see what happens. So yeah, so that's that. And Gigi Canuto making a case for fighters never going to the Ultimate Fighter again, because, what was I going to say? What was my point? Yes, because, listen, if you are a female with a 7-1 record, like the record that she had before joining before having this fight, you have two options. You can either go to the Ultimate Fighter, and you have to win 3 fights before making it to the UFC, or you can just join the Contender Series, which with the 7-1 record as an attractive female, which she is, she's attractive, you could just go to the Contender Series and then you win one fight and you're in the UFC. And the thing is, like, there's a girl on the Ultimate Fighter right now who's gonna fight in the finals probably. I believe so. She already won 2 of her fights. Who beat Anna Milosano, and then Anna Milosano just fought in the UFC 2 weeks ago. And then she beat Gigi Canuto in her last fight. And Canuto's already in the UFC and probably getting a 100K bonus because this should have been Fight of the Night. It was a great fight. And so this woman who beat both of them, Amaya something, is like, she's not even in the UFC yet. She's going to make it soon. She's going to make her debut because she's in the finals. And I'm pretty sure I saw her in the corner of one of the females later on in this card. So she's around. It's over, you know, like the Ultimate Fighter is not actually live. It already finished. But it's still kind of ridiculous that these girls who joined the Ultimate Fighter and lost are just in the UFC now. So yeah. Ridiculous. Nobody should ever go to the Ultimate Fighter unless they have to make some changes, which I'm debating making a video about because those videos are doing good on my channel. So maybe we'll do a video about how to fix the Ultimate Fighter. But yeah, you shouldn't do that. Anyway, great fight. Let's move on to the next fight of the night. Juliana Miller versus, what was her name? Riviana Oliveira. They're not showing me the full names on ESPN. And now you're not going to load. How dare you? And the problem is it's going to load soon as I'm talking over this. And then it's just going to take me to whatever her fucking page is. But anyway, for now, because they are not loading, Riviana Oliveira, I believe her name is, she's dog shit. That's just what it is. She was 7-1 coming into the UFC. She's now 7-5. She lost by sub, decision, and knockout. And Juliana Miller is also garbage, but just not the same level of garbage. So, let me press X on this. That's right. I could just press X. Nice. That's right. So, yeah, she's just not that dog shit. She's still bad, but not, there's levels to shit. That's what we're learning. So, yeah, she got a takedown in round 1 pretty early on after landing a couple strikes, controlled her for basically the whole round, and then round 2 did it again, but this time she got a submission because Riviana Oliveira, I decided that's her first name because I cannot see, she sucks. She is dog shit. That's it. That's all there is to say. When the choke was sunk in, I was already done. I'm like, I already know she's going to tap. Because when you lose that many times, you just tap. You know, like, there's a very big difference between, like, somebody who's undefeated. Shavkat, when he was in that rear naked choke against Ian Gary, he was never going to tap because he's undefeated. Once you've lost this many times, you're tapping to that type of choke. There's no reason not to. Even we'll talk about the main event, about what happened there. Like, I think a lot of that had to do with the Oliveira fight. Once you tap once, you know, like, now you learned how to tap. It's always easier to tap another time. Anyway, I guess decent performance from Juliana Miller. She loses to probably every single other female in her division, but not Riviana Oliveira because she is dog shit. Let's move on to the next fight of the night. Miles Johns versus Gianni Vazquez, I believe his name is. I know this stuff. Also, I did do this, I already did half of this video, and I realized I wasn't getting any sound. So I went through this whole situation with figuring out their names. Anyway, yes, that's why I might be going through this a little bit quicker this time around, because I've already said all of this. Miles Johns versus Gianni Vazquez was his name. So this fight, Miles Johns was supposed to fight Raul Rosas' brother, but Raul Rosas' brother ended up not being able to make it to the fight because he had a cut on his forehead, and the commission decided that it was something to worry about. And so they did not let him fight, and Gianni Vazquez took this fight on like 2 days' notice. That's why I'm always like worried when I make my breakdowns, like, man, they're just going to switch these fights on us. But I put in the comments that I'm still picking Miles Johns by knockout, as I would have picked him against Rosas' brother by knockout. It's kind of disrespectful that I keep on calling him Rosas' brother, even though his name is also Rosas. I just don't remember his first name. I want to say Kevin Rosas, but I don't know if that's true. So I'm just going to say Rosas' brother. And Miles Johns, anyway, let's talk about this fight. Miles Johns, like I said, he's always going to beat people who are not ranked material, and then he loses to the people that are ranked. And this guy had one fight in the UFC prior to this that he took on short notice as well, lost and missed 5 pounds, so they just cut him right away. And Miles Johns, what happened? He kind of was walking him down. He got a little careless on the feet in moments. He was landing a lot. Only 12 strikes. Okay, well, it's happened pretty quickly, this whole thing. But, all to the head, of course, and 1 leg kick. Okay, anyway, he was landing some punches over the guard, but then as he came in, Gianni Vazquez timed a perfect, hook/overhand that hit Miles Johns right on the temple, and he's a taller fighter, so he had this reach advantage. It was pretty quick. I didn't even really see it, but Miles Johns just kind of fucking fell to the canvas for a second, and as he got up, he started circling away and running away, and Gianni Vazquez just started trailing after him and following him, and then Miles Johns just sat down, lowered his level, loaded up on a hook, and dropped Vazquez badly, ended up getting a TKO. This was a type of performance call an ambulance, but not for me. That was this type of performance. Pretty crazy watching live. You think Miles Johns is oh no, there goes my pick. Oh, it's one of those kind of stuff. And I think Vazquez could have actually finished this, because this kind of looked when Navajo Sterling landed that cross on Jan Blachowicz. You should know this. This happened pretty recently, and I'm going to remember that for a while. Still haunts me in my dreams. But anyway, he rocked Jan Blachowicz and then shoved him, and that made Jan Blachowicz fall back. Otherwise, he could have probably just circled away while he was rocked. If Vazquez pulled something like that, when he dropped Johns, if he just shoved him into the cage and he toppled down, he could have landed on top and landed ground and pound. But he did not do that, and here he is. So he got knocked out. Good performance from Johns. Again, this was at featherweight, but I think that's only because it was on short notice. He should go back down to bantamweight. He's not that big of a dude. I think he's like 5'7" or something like that, which is pretty crazy because I'm saying he's a short bantamweight. And then you have whatever the fuck that other kid's name was, who's 5'3". I'm calling him a kid. I don't even know how old he is. But even if you're 70, if you're 5'3", I'm calling you a kid, you know? Full Dana White over here. But anyway, Miles Johns, decent performance. He's still probably going to lose to ranked opponents. But, you know, he's always fun to have around. He throws heat and he gets knockouts. Let's move on to the next fight of the night. Manuel Sousa versus Richie Miranda. And this fight, you know, I was a little bit disappointed for Manuel Sousa. He won by decision. I picked him by knockout. Richie Miranda's not bad. He's no slump, you know? He's 13-2. He was 13-1 coming into this fight. He was the defending LFA champ. But, you know, he had some of those decisions in LFA were, like, a little bit too close for me to, like, pick you confidently. But Manuel Sousa, he has a lot of power in his hands. He knocked out Rufy. You know, like, he was supposed to be a contender, and now we're just going to pull back on this a little bit. You know, like, he's still a prospect, but I guess his power is a little bit overrated since he didn't get a knockout. And also just to look a little bit sloppy. Round one, he came out just throwing, like, heavy overhands and hooks and just swinging, and Miranda timed the perfect takedown, took him down in round one, and just kind of held him there for a while. Yeah, you see 3 minutes and 51 seconds of control time. That was all in round one. So for 4 minutes of 5 in round one, he held him. And, you know, Manuel Sousa, he has a couple submissions on his record, which is why I didn't think there would be a chance of him getting out grappled, besides for his knockouts, obviously. But in this, you know, he stayed defensively sound, but he couldn't really get Richie Miranda off of him in round one. But then round two, he was a lot more controlled with his power instead of just swinging randomly. He had more, like, he had head movement. He was feinting a lot. He liked feinting the jab and then coming over with a cross. He did that probably 10 times on each side. There's 67 significant strikes. I bet half of them are a cross. And all he would do is, like, fake, cross. Switch stances, fake, cross. And they landed, and he has a lot of power. And then once he would rock Richie Miranda, which he did multiple times in round two, he would start throwing these combos, and, like, he looked like a monster. But Miranda just did good surviving. He ended up getting hit with a shot right to the liver and kind of folded. But Manuel Sousa, like, was kind of afraid of the grappling. So Richie Miranda, like, reached out for his legs, and instead of just stuffing the head and punching, he tried to turn away and, like, peel him off of him, which allowed Richie Miranda to fully build up onto, like, his hips. So now he has to defend the takedown again, and that's what kind of let Miranda survive round two. And then round three was more of an equal round, kind of a back and forth. They were both even on strikes, but Sousa just landed the heavier shots. You know, like, that's just how it is. Just look at the way they're built. He landed the heavier shots, and towards the end of the round specifically is when he really started pulling ahead. And, like, the last minute, I want to say, is when he really started landing these combos. And so it was a clear round 2 and 3, Sousa. But it was a good fight. Like, it was a fun fight. It's just a little bit disappointing. You know, like, if I'm supposed to look at you as, like, a Michael Oliveira, you know, like the guy who just knocked out Oban Elliott, if you want to be seen as somebody like that, you're going to have to do better against this type of opponent. But still, like, you know, a good prospect, a fun guy to have around, and just work on your takedown defense a little bit, my brother, and don't be as loopy on the feet. But fun performance. He called out Drew Dober. That's not smart, man. Just look at the color of your skin. Just do one thing for me. Just look down a second and see what shade of black you are. Because if you're anywhere near black, you're going to have a problem. So you shouldn't be calling out Drew Dober. It's a very risky call out, and I know who I'm going to pick. I don't have to think about it. There's no, like, breakdown, fight footage. If that fight happens, we're picking Drew Dober, and we all know why. So terrible call out. He's going to lose that one. Anyway, let's move on to Louie Sutherland versus Jose Montana. No relation to Hannah Montana. This is just crazy, seeing his red fucking purple. How? Nothing even landed on him. Anyway, Louie Sutherland, this is the only fight that I got wrong, and the reason I picked Louie Sutherland, despite him losing, as you can see right over here, oh, you can't, I think my face is blocking that. The reason I picked Louie Sutherland is because he beat Tai Tuivasa. And I thought that meant something. It does not mean anything. Tai Tuivasa is shit. And he is going to get obliterated by Rebellis de Spain. I don't know why we're doing human sacrifices in 2026. What has he done? He was getting all these favorable matchups, and then now he's getting fucking Rebellis de Spain? Who did he screw over in the UFC? What was leaked about him? Or what what does he have on who? I don't understand what's going on. But anyway, Louie Sutherland, I picked him to win because he was a crafty vet. He was a crafty heavyweight. He used to be on steroids, and then when he got to the UFC, he clearly hopped off of them, as you can tell by this physique we got going on over here. But he had some crafty moves. He had the fat man roll, but the fat man roll didn't work in this fight. He came out early, tried to grapple Montanha. Montanha just took him down with a trip, ended up on top. Sutherland tried to get up. He tried the fat man roll, but it betrayed him. The fat man roll gave up his back this time. It did not work because this guy is not Tai Tuivasa. He has resemblance of abs. Tai Tuivasa never did in his life. So Montanha ended up on his back and then choked him out pretty easily. Very disappointing. He had like a gable grip choke, the way Khabib had on McGregor, and then he let go to adjust to a rear naked, and while he let go, Sutherland tapped. I'm not going to say it was rigged, but it might have been rigged because what the fuck? Or Sutherland's just shit. I mean, look at his record: 11-6, and now he's 1-3 in the UFC. All 3 losses by finish, and his only win is against Tai Tuivasa. And we just have to say a Tai Tuivasa win doesn't mean anything anymore, and that's it. And Tai Tuivasa loses to every single heavyweight on the roster, and it's time to cut him, man. What are we even doing with Tai Tuivasa? But anyway, yeah, shitty performance from Sutherland. I guess he's not that good. And Montanha. Hey, maybe I should have done some research. Like, if maybe Montanha was really just good. He was 6-1 coming into this. Now he's 7-1. Not a lot of fights. But maybe if I did some research, I would have seen something and I would pick Montanha, and then I would have aced this whole card. I was so close. At 11-1 on this card. Like, all I had to do is, like, maybe a little bit of research, and I would have picked him. But usually I have the rule. You pick the guy in the UFC. But, and most times it worked out. It worked out a lot on this card. But it did not work out in this fight specifically, and that ruined... Man, one day, I'm coming for you. I'm going to get every single fight on the card correctly. Let's move on to Diyar Nurgozhey versus Bruno Lopes. I picked Diyar Nurgozhey because Bruno Lopes is very fucking chinny, and Diyar Nurgozhey won. These guys both are bad. Let's just start like that. These guys are both Brandon Ribeiro victims. You know what it takes to be a Brandon Ribeiro victim? These guys do, apparently. And I think they've both been finished by him. I know Diyar Nurgozhey got submitted by Brandon Ribeiro. He's pretty good. He has a tick where he scratches his eye. But other than that, he's pretty good. He's got nice kicks for a light heavyweight. Uses a teep a lot. Leg kicks, as you can see. 17 leg kicks right here. Brandon Ribeiro didn't land much in this fight. He landed 14 strikes. 8 of them were to the legs, 4 to the body, 2 to the head. That's not a lot if you're calculating. Only 2 to the head. He didn't land anything, basically, is what I'm saying. Diyar Nurgozhey, in the beginning, it kind of looked like this was going to be like a 29-28 kind of fight. Like, these guys are not really engaging in the fight. You can kind of tell sometimes right away what type of fight you're about to have. And that's just what it appeared to be. But Diyar Nurgozhey ended up in between the kicks. First of all, he got eye poked twice by Bruno Lopes. The first time, the ref just didn't call it, even though it was very clear. Second time they did. No warning for Lopes, or a warning, but no point taken. Let's just take points. How many events are we going to see ruined before we take a point? But anyway, Nurgozhey ended up landing this overhand, or I think he just threw a hook out there, basically. He was like, this guy is chinny, right? Like, let me stop throwing all these kicks. Let me throw an overhand. Threw it, rocked Bruno Lopes right away. And then Bruno Lopes started, like, running away. He ended up going for a takedown, basically, like, falling. It wasn't even a takedown. He just, like, tripped and fell into Nurgozhey. Got the takedown, which is just a bad look. This is the second guy on the card who got taken down by a severely rocked / hurt opponent. What are you doing, bro? How are you gonna let that happen? Anyway, he got right back up. Ended up like getting him around the fence. I thought we're running out of time, man. As you see, only 1 second left in round 1. But then he threw an uppercut, a hook to the body, and then a hook up top, and folded Bruno Lopes badly, slumped to the canvas. It's truly sad, despite me not caring at all for Lopes. This is, I think, the 3rd fight in a row where I've seen him slump to the canvas. And Diyar Nurgozhey, not bad from you. I'm never going to forget that you lost to Brandon Ribeiro. That was ridiculous. I cannot believe that happened to you. But this is a pretty decent win. And it was a good fight. So yeah, let's move on. Anyway. Steven Asplund versus Guilherme Pat. This is the first fight that I didn't actually break down originally before realizing that my audio wasn't on. Steven Asplund, I'm very disappointed in you, man. I'm happy he won. I picked him to win. He won. We are Asplunderers, I believe is what his fan base is called. But it was disappointing because I picked him, and my thought of Asplund, my preview of him, the way I saw him prior to this fight was somebody who's a heavyweight Max Holloway, throws a lot of volume, has power, and has a lot of cardio. Despite what he looks like, he actually has good cardio, or so we thought. Because in this fight, he looked slow as shit right away. Right away, he actually looked fat, which he is fat, but in his movement, he looked fat. And Guilherme Pat, who I don't think highly of, he's 6-2 now. Both this was a loss, and before that it was a loss. And I just don't think he's that good. He's a Thomas Peterson victim. Thomas the Train Peterson. You know, how are you making it competitive with him? But yeah, I'm just gonna talk about this fight as a whole. Steven Asplund just looked slower than Guilherme Pat in round. He did have the power advantage though, and so in round one he dropped Guilherme Pat despite him being slower. And then got on top of him. But it was later on in the round, and because to begin with, it was just like kind of a back and forth. They were holding each other on the fence a lot in this fight, which I'm not a fan of. So fuck Guilherme Pat. He's been in a lot of boring fights. I'm just gonna blame him. Let's just blame him. Why do we have to blame Steven Asplund if we could just blame the other guy? It's his fault that Steven Asplund gassed for no reason after one round. But yeah, he looked slow. He looked shit. He dropped Guilherme Pat towards the end of the round because they kept on holding each other against the cage, and then they would separate. Asplund land a couple punches, then they'd hold against the cage again. And Asplund got tired from that, and so did Pat. And when Asplund dropped him, instead of just like ground and pounding him, he kind of just slumped on top of him in slow motion, which was very weird to see. And he just looked bad. So like even when he dropped him, I was like, you better put him away because you're looking bad. And Pat's looking kind of quick and explosive here for a heavyweight. But he got on top. He kind of just sagged his fucking tits and chest on Pat and landed a couple elbows. And that's how the round ended. Round two, Pat came out looking a little bit explosive. Asplund still heavy on his feet, not really using footwork, not kind of just like doing this a lot, and his tits are coming up and down, and just looking slow as shit. Ends up getting dropped in round two. I think he also dropped Guilherme Pat in round two, but it wasn't the same kind of a knockdown from what I remember. It was kind of a weird one too when he dropped Pat because it was just like, whoa, what was that? Like that, I didn't even really see it, but he did drop Pat, I'm being told, in round two. But yeah, like he just looked bad in this fight. So he got dropped in round two, ended up getting back up. Like it wasn't like a big moment, but he got a cut under his eye as well. And then in round three, 1-1 going into round three, and this was like it was a scrap at moments. Like round three, he ended up landing. I'm just talking about the big moments. He landed like a head kick, and it kind of hit Pat with like almost the knee, like it was like in the middle of the shin. And it like kind of rocked him. He ended up pulling Pat into a big knee, which rocked him even more. And then he put in this guillotine, which by the way, I think if he didn't do that, he could have TKO'd Pat. There were moments in this fight where he was rocking Pat, and he would just come back to the middle and let him come in. Like, bro, just finish him. You know, like even in his last fight, he had the same problem against the Brazilian guy. I think Guilherme Pat's also Brazilian. But the other Brazilian guy, where he was rocking him, and then he's like showing his ass and stuff, and like, bro, just finish the fight. You're supposed to be a prospect. But yeah, he was going for the standing guillotine against Pat, squeezed his ass off trying to get it, and he just didn't get it, which it would be funny if he did, but you know, you're not getting a standing guillotine in 2026. We've spoken about this before. I've spoken about the technique. He did not do the technique I spoke about in my last video, and so he didn't get it. And he ended up like letting go of it. He was a little bit tired, but Pat, for some reason, thought if he holds him against the cage until this fight's over, he's gonna win this fight. But he was wrong because you got rocked in that round, and so you're not winning the fight. But he held him against the cage and tried to put his hands up afterwards, saying he won. He did not. So yeah, Pat cut him, whatever. Fuck him. He's never had an interesting fight in the UFC where he isn't getting beaten up. The one fight that he won in the UFC was boring, and the other two he tried his best to make it boring. Steven Asplund, on the other hand, why are you getting tired after one round? You're supposed to have good cardio. My rating of Steven Asplund goes down a lot. You know, I still think he's fun. I'm still gonna pick him in some fights, but I don't really think he's another contender like I did prior to this fight. I still like him. I'm an ass plunderer, like I said. But yeah, like a little bit disappointed. I thought he'd throw more strikes. I thought he would look quicker and not as much of a victim. The whole time I was like, oh no, Pat's gonna knock him out. No, Pat's gonna knock him out. And it was really scary to see. So yeah, don't do that again, please. Don't fuck with my heart like that. Let's move on to Billy Ray Goff versus Tim Miller. I don't know if his name is Tim Miller. It's something Miller. And I don't want to click on this because I don't think it's gonna work. Let me see. It's not working. So I don't know what his first name is. Something Miller. Yeah, Miller's a good contender. This was a good fight. He performed well, I will say. Round three. What the fuck happened in round one? I didn't even realize this went on for 3 rounds. I thought this went on for 2 rounds. Yeah, this was like very one-sided. Like in round one, not a lot happened. Billy Ray Goff tried to grapple early. He kind of just held him against the cage for a while. But in between him holding him against the cage, similar to the round before this, Miller was just piecing him up. Landed like 2 glancing head kicks on Billy Ray Goff as well in round 1. But that was kind of about it. Like, not a lot happened in round 1. It was just Miller kind of finding his range and just landing clean combos. Round 2 is where the beating really started. He knocked down Billy Ray Goff, and besides for that, just put an absolute beating on him. Most of these strikes, 163 strikes, 133 of them significantly, and all basically all to the head. He put a beating on Billy Ray Goff, and I really liked this fight for him because he got to show his combos, because his last fight against Adam Fugit was a round 1 knockout where he threw a couple body kicks and then threw a straight down the middle and knocked him out. This one, we got to like really see what it looked like, almost to see him just hit pads. He hit a sick combo where I think he went jab, hook to the body, and then hook up top, or like a jab. It was like a cross slash hook. He punched it like this, and then came up with the hook up top, which was pretty cool to see. He was just like literally putting a beating on Billy Ray Goff, and at the end of round 2, they could have stopped the fight. Like when he dropped him, Goff tried to like wrestle him, but he was just kind of pushing his head down and throwing 12-6 elbows. The ref said it was back of the head. I know when fouls happen. There was not a foul committed in this fight. Those were all legal punches, legal elbows. 12-6, like those were nice. They caused a lot of damage. And yeah, again, like at the end of round 2, when Billy Ray Goff barely made it to his corner, because that fight could have been stopped multiple times, his corner did not throw in the towel. I think they should have. You know, like his corner was like, hey, this fight, just stay on the outside and don't engage. And it's like, but he's down 2 rounds. So what's like the best outcome? He loses a decision. Why not just like call it a day? Like and what happened was round 3, they sent him out like half dead, and Tim Miller, which there's no way his name's Tim Miller, whatever his first name is, Miller, threw a cross down the middle, and right away Goff fell back into the cage looking like a victim, and they called it off. So why did we need to go into a 3rd round? I don't understand, but I'm happy because I like seeing people go out cold. You know, like that's why I'm here. So I'm not going to complain, actually. I'm happy they sent him out. And you know, Miller's looking like a contender. You know, he actually did better than I thought he would. I thought he would get a knockout, but I didn't expect him to look as clean as he did. We finally got to see what it looks like for him to fight a couple rounds, and I'm happy with what I saw. Yeah, he barely got hit. Only 8 strikes from Billy Ray Goff landed to Miller's head. And so yeah, like, you know, that's pretty good, man. He looked good, looked technical. He's young. He looks like a big Mario Batista. I'm just gonna put that out there. And he's not even that. Yeah, he's 26. He's pretty young, and he looks young. He looks like a baby. And Billy Ray Goff looked like he was 35, despite him only being 2 years older. But yeah, good performance from Miller. And yeah, can't wait to see what he does next. Let's move on to Amanda Lemos versus Alexia Thainara. Took me a second to remember her name. I picked Alexia Thainara. There was a risk, and I said there was a risk because Amanda Lemos is one of the few females with a lot of knockout power. She is the last person to beat, what's her name? Mackenzie Dern. She outdamaged her, and this is a similar kind of fight. But Mackenzie Dern is a strictly a jiu-jitsu girl. She has no takedowns. And Alexia Thainara, what weight class is this? 115? She's very imposing for a 115-pounder. She's short and stocky, and she will just run in and go for takedowns, and she did very good in the clinch. In round 1, she also surprised me on the feet. I did not expect her to have as good striking as she did on the feet. She was kind of just meeting Amanda Lemos in the pocket. She shot a couple takedowns in round 1, couldn't really get them, but she was just happy enough to land strikes on the feet, countering Amanda Lemos would swing heavy, and you're like, shit, if one of those land, it's night-night. But none of them really did land. Thainara landed a couple calf kicks, a couple hooks. She landed nice hooks on Lemos. And in the clinch, she was pretty imposing, landing knees to the thigh. And I don't usually talk about knees to the thigh like they're anything, you know, especially not coming from Rob. But she's thick. You can't really tell in this photo because she's yellow for some reason. But she's got thick-ass legs, thick-ass arms. She has a lot of power for a female. And she was just hipping into it. She was kicking Amanda Lemos' calf while she was holding her against the cage. And just using elbows too. Elbows, knees. She was actually like 200 strikes. A lot of them are not significant because that's all in the clinch. But she landed a lot. That was round 1. Round 2, she got dropped by Amanda Lemos, to be fair. They're not going to talk about knockdowns? Do they not just count? Why did they say knockdown? She got dropped. She did. It happened. She got dropped. There should be a 1 over here. She got dropped in round 2 by Amanda Lemos. But she quickly recovered and kept on holding her against the cage and landed a lot of strikes. And again, she landed a lot of her own strikes, even at distance, which you know, I'm happy, like, because it's hard to get takedowns. You know, I think at the end of round 2, she got another takedown. But when you're not going to get takedowns, I want to make sure you're not a victim on the feet. There's certain people, like I think her against Mackenzie Dern, if Mackenzie Dern doesn't take this to the ground, she would outstrike Mackenzie Dern. Even though Mackenzie Dern knows how to throw a jab now, she finally learned in her title fight how to do that. We'll talk more about that next week. But yeah, impressive from Thainara. Round 2, she lost. She got dropped. She held Lemos against the cage for the rest of that, took it out at the end. Round 3, she came out. I believe she actually stunned Lemos badly in round 3. I don't remember with what. I think with a hook. But she landed some big shots at Lemos. Again, held her a little bit more against the cage for safe measure. Landed some knees to the body. Ended up taking her down. Got a little bit of control time. I don't know, 7 minutes of control. Oh, they're counting cage as control. What are you doing, guys? Whatever. Anyway, we're not going to talk. What the fuck? But yeah, anyway, she took her down, landed some strikes there. Lemos got back up. They scrapped. And with her 10 seconds left, I could just feel, knowing Alexia Thainara, she's going to point down, do the next Holloway. And she did. And Lemos is like, oh, thank you. This is what I need. All I have is power punches. So I'm going to meet you in the middle and throw power punches. And Alexia Thainara out power punched Lemos, landing heavy shots, rocking Lemos, and really lived up to the 10-second point down, which people don't really do anymore. Even Manuel Sousa pointed down, and there were like 2 seconds left, and I'm like, bro, by the time you make it to him, you're out of time, But good performance from Thainara. Lemos, we found her weakness. It's grapplers, and she's also just getting up there. I don't know how old she is, but when she puts on glasses, she naturally looks like 15 years older. She had a very tough time making the weight cut. I believe she had to weigh in like 3 times in order to make weight. I think it's it's time to call it a day, but she can still fight some people. She's just slowly falling down the rankings, A couple years ago, she was fighting for the title. I think, unless I'm making that up. No, she did. She fought Weili Zhang on the same, was it the same card that O'Malley fought Sterling? I think so. Check me on that one. But if my MMA my mind is correct, and I remember correctly, she fought Weili Zhang on the same card as Sugar Sean O'Malley, fought Aljamain Sterling, and then we really needed that last one because this was a pretty bad fight, that one. She almost got choked out multiple times. It was actually pretty fine, but there was some, some boring ones. I think Mario Batista was on that card too. I'm just remembering some fights now. I remember where I was when this happened. Anyway, back to this fight. Yeah, Amanda Lemos, this is, I think, the 4th fight in a row, or 3rd, where she lost to a grappler. And Alexia Thainara, really imposing for a 115-pounder. She's looking good. And, she looks like she's having fun out there, too. Always smiling. She's got a nice butt. And that concludes my breakdown for this. Let's move on to Darren Elkins versus Gianni Delval. Oh. I would say it's time to call it a day for Darren Elkins, but he knew that before this fight. Here's the problem with this. This was a sacrificial lamb. Gianni Delval came out. Darren Elkins shot for the sloppiest takedown ever, got stuffed, and Gianni Delval threw a 2 down the middle and dropped Elkins. And right away, the ref stepped in. He didn't even need to see ground and pound. It's not like Elkins went out badly. The ref was just like, nah, he's old. I think it's time to call it a day. I think he's done. So that's what happened. Darren Elkins gets knocked out 35 seconds into the fight against Gianni Delval, who I don't think is that good. But yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. I listened to interviews before with Darren Elkins, and if you even heard his post-fight speech, this guy is slurring the shit out of his words. His eyes are going 2 different directions. Maybe it was always like that, but I don't remember it being that bad. His face is not moving correctly. He looks like he was somebody rescued him from a fire, and he kind of talks like prime Stipe Miocic, if you know what I mean. This guy is losing his mind, and he's just taking more damage. What are we doing, man? You should have retired years ago. This is crazy. He was on a run at some point, but they treat certain people nicer than others, certain people get very favorable matchups when they retire, even the karate hottie, this is another thing that upsets me, the karate hottie, Michelle Waterson, she got a fucking send-off from the UFC, she got that package with the video of prime Michelle Waterson was able to beat anyone, blah, blah, blah. Where's the Darren Elkins one? Give him some fucking respect. He went to war. He fought Volkanovski. He lost, but he fought Volkanovski. He was good enough one time to fight Volkanovski. He was on a 7-fight win streak. He's fought some people. Where is the respect for him? Instead, he retires in the Apex with nothing, and Michelle Waterson, for some reason, gets a promo package. But yeah, it was really sad. It was get off of my grandpa, type of sad. But he shouldn't have fought it. I don't think, we have to think of the amount of times we've heard a fighter say before their last fight they're going to retire, and them winning. It doesn't really happen. Anthony Smith, before his last fight, said, I'm going to retire. Got knocked out brutally. Dustin Poirier said it before his fight. Lost a very dominant decision. Darren Elkins we have. I can't really remember any more off the top of my head, but it never goes well for them. Cub Swanson's the only one it went well for, but he's really not that washed. Cub Swanson, he didn't even have to retire. So it's different, and I picked him to win that one too. But for the most part, if you're saying you're going to retire, it's a mentality thing. It's just you're done already. He didn't come no offense, he didn't come to this fight to win. You know, like the second it was over, he's like, it was almost like, oh, thank God. Like, then why'd you even do the last fight? You know, just call it a day and sit on your couch. You don't need more damage. Your face barely works. You know, it was sad. It was sad to see. You know, I'm not even that big of a fan of his. I didn't watch most of his fights. It was before my time. But like, man, I don't want to see old people just get hurt like that. It wasn't even a satisfying knockout. It was just like, oh, I guess that's that. There wasn't a fight. Nothing happened. Did he actually do a training camp? Who did he give a fight in training camp that made him think he could fight anymore? There's no way that he was actually beating people in his camp. And if so, those guys will never make it to the UFC because what the fuck? Anyway, that's that. Darren Elkins gets brutally knocked out in 35 seconds. Should we talk about Gianni or Del Val? Yeah, whatever. I guess he's pretty good. Maybe. This tells us nothing except that he was supposed to be a minus 800 favorite as he was. But, like, I guess he has hands. I guess he has power to knock out a fucking 75-year-old Darren Elkins, you know? So whatever. Maybe I'll pick him in his next fight. Maybe I won't. That's that. Let's move on to the co-main event. Whoa! What a co-main event this was. Diego Ferreira versus Billy Quarantillo. Ferreira won this. It was a close. I won't say it's a close decision. This was a 30-27, clear 30-27. But yeah, you know, I'm proud with this pick because I was going back and forth. This was one of the only picks that I was worried about, besides for obviously the one that I lost, that I got wrong. This one was one that I thought I might get wrong, and the main event. But no, I was pretty confident about the main event. This one, I didn't know because they're both unks, and it was like, okay, well, who's gonna be older, and how old is Diego Ferreira gonna be? The answer is pretty old, you know? I don't like exactly what I saw in this matchup. He looked decent. He kept on just... So Billy Quarantillo had the head movement of a prime Patchy Mix, just not moving his head at all, guard down, and I think his plan was, I'm just going to tire out Bruno Ferreira, but Diego Ferreira. Although he reminds me of Bruno Ferreira. It's interesting, they have the same last name, but they kind of fight, and it's kind of similar, you know, just throwing power shots. But yeah, this fight, like, Diego Ferreira, he had a good game plan, like, he was very well-rounded, throwing strikes, getting takedowns, all 3 rounds were kind of the same thing. He was just, like, landing every single strike he threw. He was just, like, throwing across straight down the middle, and it always landed on Quarantillo. Quarantillo never moved his head. That's why it's red. Yeah, no calf kicks. There were no leg kicks really thrown. Yeah, 7 and 2. Not really. Nothing landed, basically. It was mainly, you know, they both threw a couple body kicks, but it was mainly just head. And Diego Ferreira just landed a lot of punches. And I think Quarantillo was like, hey, maybe he'll gas out his arms on my head. And he kind of did. That's what was weird about this. Ferreira, after round 1, already looked a little bit tired. And he's usually known for being like the guy who has cardio. You know, that's how he beat Rebecca. He ended up still having the cardio later into round 2 or round 3, whichever one it was. I think it was round 3. But yeah, he did look older. But yeah, all 3 rounds, he rocked Quarantillo multiple times. And every time he rocked him, he would just bring him back to the middle and end up getting his back against the cage. And when Ferreira's back was against the cage, Quarantillo would unload combos, but just not enough to put Ferreira away. And besides for that, Ferreira was landing most of the strikes, even though it says it was kind of even. The significant strikes is where you see a difference over here. And Ferreira did just land the cleaner ones. He was just landing that 2 over the top over and over and over again. And he was also getting a couple takedowns, holding him down for a little bit, but Quarantillo would work his way back up. And he did guess out, though. In round 3, he looked a little bit slower. I'm actually kind of surprised that all 3 judges gave him round 3, because I thought just based off body language, even though he still landed a lot of clean shots, and Quarantillo didn't land much, body language-wise, Quarantillo was like, there was a moment where Ferreira was like just getting backed up against the cage, and Quarantillo was throwing combos, and then Ferreira shot a sloppy fucking takedown, the sloppiest takedown you've ever seen in your life, and Quarantillo sprawled it easily, and then got on top and started throwing a couple ground and pound shots inside Ferreira's guard. I thought that could have given Quarantillo the round, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, Ferreira won at least the first 2 rounds, and I could see an argument for the third as well. He did a lot of damage, but just bad body language. He did guess out later on, which is worrying as an older guy. And then he called out Jim Miller and Bobby Green. Keep this guy away from Bobby Green. I could just see Bobby Green knocking him the fuck out. And I also think Jim Miller weirdly beats him. You know, like, Jim Miller is also old. And Ferreira's 42 now. I think Jim Miller is like 44. But Jim Miller is still sneaking away wins. I think part of it, we have to understand, why do some older guys last longer than other older guys? Like, Jan Blachowicz made it, you know, obviously we already held the funeral for him, but he made it further than most old guys, and it's because his game is very fundamental. And that's kind of how Jim Miller is too. Jim Miller, he has a guillotine and a jab, basically. Like, I haven't seen him do anything crazy. You're not going to see a flying knee from Jim Miller. And Diego Ferreira, I feel like he relies a lot on his power. And this fight, also, Billy Quarantillo moved up a weight class and looked bigger than Diego Ferreira. So Ferreira is also just a small 155er. I don't understand why he's at this weight class. And you see that a lot from older guys too. They just shrink. Jan Blachowicz, again, I'm going to keep on bringing up Jan Blachowicz because it pissed me off and I couldn't believe what happened to him. But yeah, he also kind of shrunk. But yeah, Diego Ferreira, you're going to lose to Jim Miller. He looked older in this fight. Not old enough to lose to Billy Quarantillo, but he did still look older, so it was kind of what I was afraid of. But, you know, he lived to fight another day, and I think he loses his next fight, probably, regardless of who he fights. He looked much slower than, like, prime Diego Ferreira even 2 years ago, you know? Anyway, my nose is itching me. All right, the main event. We have made it. Mateusz Gamrot versus Quillan Salkilld. I picked Quillan Salkilld to win by knockout. He ended up getting a submission in round 1, which is much more impressive. Significantly more impressive. The round starts. They're kind of trading on the feet a little bit. Salkilld landed a perfect counter shot. That it was a hook that dropped Gamrot. Gamrot shot in, and this was the moment to see what's up. But Salkilld, dare I say, easily defended the takedown. Was just like, he didn't look lost at all, was able to stuff it. Gamrot ended up rolling for a leg. I got scared for a second that knee bar looked tight, and then he ended up switching it into a heel hook. Quillan Salkilld told us, no, don't worry, so we did not worry. Salkilld got out of the heel hook, and once he did, you knew it was kind of over. He tried taking his back, which I was surprised by, because I was like, hey, you know, let's just stick to the striking. They ended up getting back to the feet, and he threw a couple punches, and then shot his own takedown. Yes, you heard me right. Salkilld shot a takedown on Gamrot, took him down, got on his back, and tapped him out. That's very fucking impressive. The only other person to do that is Charles Oliveira. Now, do I think that the same way someone can be chitty, so once you knock them out once, like Dariush, Oliveira knocked him out, now everyone's knocking him out, including Salkilld. Is it the same that, like, even though no one submitted Gamrot before, once Oliveira submitted him, I'm not that, like you know, I already saw that image, and Gamrot already has tapped in the cage. It doesn't surprise me that much that he's tapping more now. Like, I feel like there is a mental thing of like, all right, it's okay to tap now. I already did it. There's already not that statistic about me anymore. That's just how I feel it is. But, you know, you can never take that away from Salkilld. Dropped him and submitted him. Super impressive. He's a true contender. And I said this in the breakdown. Salkilld is not like Ribovich. He's not like Klein. We've never seen Klein or Ribovich use their wrestling offensively. Yeah, we've seen whoa, I bit my tongue there. God damn it, that hurt. We've seen Ribovich defend takedowns. We've seen Klein defend takedowns. But we've seen Salkilld use his own takedowns in fights. He was won fights with takedowns. He submitted Jamie Malarkey. I know it's Jamie Malarkey, but fucking Klein didn't submit Jamie Malarkey. I don't think Klein has any submissions, and neither does Ribovich. Like, they're strikers who can defend takedowns. Salkilld started off, he was always well-rounded. He had a lot of punching power, like we saw in this fight. He dropped Gamrot, and he also had like, he has submissions on his record. I don't remember, what was that guy's name that he out-grappled? It was his second fight in the UFC after he knocked out Anshul Jubli. I don't remember his name, but he, like, out-wrestled him, and that guy was a wrestler. So my point was, we've seen him use wrestling before. This isn't just somebody who knows how to defend takedowns. Anyway, super impressive. This was, like, this is a true contender, you know? Like, this is somebody, like, who does he fight next? Like, I almost want to see him fight like a Patty next. And I want to make a video talking about the rankings because the UFC fucked everything up with that fucking Rufi versus Sarukian fight. That was just fucking retarded and messed everything up for the whole division. But, you know, it's good because now we have Salkilld in the top. I don't even know what Gamrot's ranked, but Salkilld should get like a top 7 ranked opponent next. Or even top 5. I don't know what's going on with the rankings, but get him in there. Now it became interesting again. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was very impressive. Great performance from him. I did amazing on this card as a whole. The card was pretty fun. Basically all finishes from what I remember. Some decisions, but decisions weren't too boring either. I can't think of one like actually boring fight. For the most part, I just enjoyed this card as a whole. I went 11-1, which is pretty fucking good, and I'm really proud of that. And thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. I saw my video did very well, the fucking top 10 most hated one. So I'm assuming you guys want more of that. I'm probably going to do more of that because the numbers speak. But I'm also going to do these because I like doing the reactions and I like doing the breakdowns. So come back for the breakdown of UFC 330. Probably going to happen Wednesday night, something like that, Wednesday evening. And if besides for that, that's all I have for today. So, yep, see ya.